Hello, good morning to this morning show on LN 24/7. I am Olasubo Koromi, and I'm very glad that we can be with you this Wednesday morning. And of course, I'm not alone.
Good morning. Welcome to this morning show. Like as we have said, we hope you're having a wonderful morning already. It's been an amazing day, the 10th of July already.
Yeah, already. Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah.
The month is really running fast.
And of course, this is the Wednesday edition of this morning show. You know how we do it, the health and lifestyle day. And we have a lot lined up for you today.
Of course, indeed, we have a lot lined up for you. And we'll be going right into it. Let's look at what is on the headlines this morning. In the news, suspend Samoa agreement implementation, reps tell Nigerian government.
And today on Health and Lifestyle, we'll be looking at the role of public health education in cholera prevention and control.
And also in the news, Tinubu creates Ministry of Livestock Development.
Plus, hundreds of UK lawmakers are sworn in as Parliament returns. All this and more we have lined up for you on this edition of the morning show. We'll take a quick break. I'll come back.
Thank you very much for staying tuned to LN 24/7. This is this morning show, this Wednesday morning, the 10th day of July 2024. If you're just joining, it's time for us to look at what is on the front burner. So we have our very first story. 88 members. The House of Representatives has asked the federal government to suspend the implementation of the Samoa Agreement until all controversial clauses are addressed and spelled out. In moving the motion on Tuesday, a member of the House, Aliu Madaki, drew attention to the clause which highlights, and I quote, gender equality, end of quote, and describes it as a Trojan horse which could violate the morals of the country. The House also mandated its relevant committees to investigate the controversial provision of the agreement. Controversies has enveloped the Samoa Agreement signed by the federal government with the European Union, with many frowning upon what they thought was the recognition of lesbians, gays, bisexual, and transgender, that is the LGBTQ rights, by the Nigerian government. The Samoa deal sparked a barrage of reactions online, with many opposing LGBT rights, which is contrary to the anti-same-sex marriages and gay relationships law enacted in 2014 by the then President Goodluck Jonathan at the press conference on Saturday. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Atiku Bagudu, alongside his counterpart in the Ministry of Information, Muhammad Idris, said Nigeria won't enter into an agreement that was anti-ethical to the Constitution as well as the religious and cultural sensibilities of the heterogeneous people of Nigeria. This is a quite interesting one, and a new development concerning the Samoa Agreement, which has been in the news, and a lot of reactions has been trailing the signing of the agreement, coming up with the clause that was brought to light, saying that Nigeria should also be wary of what they are signing and what the government is signing, getting involved in as it comes to, taking loans and the agreement they have to stick to, to be able to access this loan. Because the clause, gender equality, what does that really mean? We should have, what's it called, maybe law experts look into this, this arrangement and look at the clauses properly before we go into such agreement. But what I'm trying to get now, this this agreement has already been signed. Now, the suspension coming in, that not for it to be implemented. I don't think, I feel maybe it's a bit late. Well, I think the clauses and every aspect of the agreement should have been looked into properly before being signed. Or what do you think about that?
Of course, if you talk about looking at agreements and whatever properly before being signed, well, you expect that is what a government, that really wants the best for its nation would do. But President Tinubu signed that agreement last year, but it was only brought into public knowledge, recently. And even the Samoa Agreement itself was actually, how do I put it now, modified. If you look at the clauses and everything that surrounded it, initially it was the LGBTQ rights that were boldly, in place of that inequality. It was after
equality, gender equality.
Gender equality, rather. It was after some member states, frowned at it and said, some of them, it goes against the laws and all of that. And then they tried to replace it with gender equality. But look at it this way. Rightly, as that report said, it is a Trojan horse.
Exactly.
It's a Trojan horse because you are signing an agreement that has some clauses, somewhat. It's like when you're giving someone a gift, and inside that gift there is a small package that at the end of the day, by the time you finish unraveling it, you see that this particular one might not be so pleasant as what you are expecting. Now the Samoa Agreement itself was to boost I think food, economic inclusivity, as they call it, and all of that stuff that they use, the jamborees and English that they use. Well, then you would think that, okay, government will sign this because you want the best for your nation, you want you want aid from other countries, collaboration in order to make sure that your country's interest is best represented. But then you don't just go cap in hand because these people are giving you one sort of aid or the other, and then just bring in every policies that they give to you. You should be able to say no, or look at things in depth. Now they are calling for them to look at all these clauses. Why didn't they do that in the first place? That is the question that every Nigerian will ask. What was who were those that sat down, looked at this agreement before signing it in the first place? Because of course I don't think that the president will just get a paper and just start putting his pen to the paper. You should be able to read. You should be able to call experts. That's why you have ministers. That's why you have advisors. That's why you have PAs. They should be there for you, where they look at these things and these clauses, not just sign them and then at the end of the day, if not for the fact that the media,
brought it to light.
It would have just been there, and then before you know it, you are into something deep that you cannot get yourself out of. So talking about maybe being too late or not, I really don't think it's too late. Of course, we have a constitution in Nigeria. Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and if anything, contravenes or contradicts that which it has already laid down as its own principles and laws and all constitution and all of that, the country has the right. to reject it and back out of any agreement. That's if the damages have not been done already.
Exactly. Let's move on now to the next story. Of course, the phone lines will be open shortly for our viewers to make their contributions You want to take the next story?
Okay, yes. Let's look at the next story. And this one says President Bola Tinubu has announced the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development. Now, the news emerged as the President inaugurated the renewed Hope Livestock Reform Implementation Committee at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, which was aimed at resolving persistent farmers-herders conflicts. While President Tinubu would chair the committee, a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, Atahiru Jega, is the deputy chairman. Tinubu said the federal government is fully prepared to cover the cost of acquiring the land to ensure the coexistence between herders and farmers. The president said the committee would work with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to come up with lasting solutions to the age-long crisis between farmers and herders, while ensuring the security and economic well-being of all Nigerians. Okay, I think we should take a listen to that.
This sector will boost agricultural productivity, enhance export opportunities, and stimulate economic growth by fostering a robust value chain that benefits farmers, processors, herders, distributors, and consumers alike. We've identified the model for livestock management. It is done in other countries, in other climes, successfully promoted. It created great economy and empowerment for ordinary people.
Now, the committee chaired by the All Progressives Congress APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje gave the President 21 recommendations, including creating a Ministry of Livestock Resources. Let's take a listen.
This will undoubtedly be a game changer in contributions of livestock sector to the agricultural GDP that is currently abysmal despite our huge potentials.
Now, the creation of the ministry is the latest attempt by the Nigerian government to address the decade-long conflict between herders and farmers over access to land, pasture and water. In the past, previous governments have reeled out a raft of measures, including the highly controversial rural grazing area, that is RUGA. However, such moves have failed to address the perennial conflicts between the farmers and pastoralists. Yeah. Okay.
I think this is a good development if it can address the issue of grazing, animal grazing, and then farming at the same time, not putting anybody at jeopardy at the end of the day, because nobody has, how will I put it, a complete 100% monopoly of what's it called, farmlands or whatever the case may be. We've heard of situations where herders take their livestock into people's farm to destroy, you know, the farm and the produce and all of that. So if this committee goes about its activities the way it ought to, and some of these issues are addressed, I see a better situation.
Yeah, I like the fact that they said that the committee brought a lot of recommendations to the president, and saying that one of them is to create the Ministry of Livestock Development. Now, talking about the Ministry of Livestock Development, I would like to see how this will be implemented, because really, like that report said, we have the RUGA that was suggested, or is it passed as a bill and all of that?
Passed as a bill,
yes, and
wasn't
till
really
now it has not really yielded results in the right directions. We're still having people, farmers, you know, unable to go to their farmlands because herders have taken over. You know, we still have incessant killings,
yes,
you know, as a result of farmers' herders crisis. Now, if you're talking about the Ministry of Livestock Development, I think that one of the ways which they can actually make this work is proper, should I use the word communication, sensitization, the herders themselves.
yes.
You know, I think that where is the body that really talks to them? Do they have an association? Do they have a head? Do they have leaders? Or are they just, you know, left, you know, to do whatever? Some of them don't even know the laws that have been implemented. Talking about the Ruga itself and all of, they are not even aware. So in their own mind,
the Ruga itself has a lot of controversies surrounding it.
So in their own mind, they just
clauses that were giving a whole lot of autonomy to herders and all of that. So I think that part also was what made the Ruga not to even fly in the first instance. And then again, another thought just came to mind now. We already have the Ministry of Agriculture and all of those, you know, that has to do with livestock and agri-produce, farming and all of that. I thought, you know, livestock and whatever it is that they are creating now should have been part of that particular Ministry of Agriculture and Development and stuff like that. But creating this new Ministry of Livestock, let's see how it really goes. You know, we want to see what they will make out of this and see how
I was going to say that it's one thing to actually create a ministry, is another thing to actually see what work they put in place and to ensure, you know, that all this is laid to rest. For instance, I was talking about the herders and the farmers. If the herders are aware, or if they know, or if they are made to understand the impact of their trespassing on lands that are meant to produce food, I think they would better understand how what they are doing is affecting. Maybe they are just thinking, you know, in their own selfish interest, my own cows and animals need to graze, they need to feed. They are not thinking in the long term what it does, you know, to the nation. And this is because most of them are largely illiterate. They just hear, you know, instruction, just go, and in their own mind, the head belongs to them. Everything, you know, and it also is for them. Whatever, you know, whether crops, whether weed, whatever, it belongs to them in their own mind. But if there is a right programming, you know, of their mindset, it's not only Nigeria that have herders, for crying out loud. There are other countries that have herders, you know, that have livestock, and they are all coexisting with farmers, you know, producing food for the nation.
We have farmers that have both livestock and the farmland that are producing
exactly.
So why can't the two work together?
Exactly. So
because sometimes it looks like it's that they don't know what to do, or they don't know what is obtainable. We don't know what the produce does for a nation. That is, you know, creating food back for the whole nation. So why would a herder think I should, you know, destroy a farmland because I want to feed my livestock? So all those kind of things, I think it should be more, how will I put it, addressing the issue the way it is. Yes. Because we have farmers that do both livestock and farm produce, and they coexist together peacefully. The livestock will not, you know, will not be encroaching into the farmland area. They know how to demarcate and let the both side of the whatever try. So those are the kind of things that should be addressed. Fine, you are going to bring them to the same table. Or create a settlement for livestock. You know that this whole area is known for livestock farming, and then you bring, because we have a lot of mass of land across parts of Nigeria that have not been even looked into at all. We have all the forest areas. Those kind of areas can be brought as, oh, this is an area known for livestock farming, and people can come up with, you know, their livestock.
What recommendations that have been given, these things, you know, if we are thinking in this light, I should think that they also are thinking in that same line. If they are not just paying lip service, you know, to all of these things, then the right things will be eventually done. We hope that this particular one would be more effective than the Ruga agreement.
Of course, indeed. Okay, let's move on now to our next story. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, says there is an ongoing plan to distribute about 60 fertilizer trucks to each state through the governors before the weekend. 7 senators will also receive 2 trucks of fertilizers each. In contrast, House of Representatives will receive one each from the distribution to address the impending food insecurity in the country. Akpabio disclosed this during the plenary on Tuesday. He was commenting on the motion sponsored by Sunday Karimi Kogi West on urgently addressing the country's impending food insecurity. And the quote said, all states of the Federation are being provided with 60 trucks of fertilizer outside what is being given to the senators. And quote, Akpabio said. After disclosing the plan, the Senate President said he got the information from the chairman of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Salah Mustafa. He urged media to quote Mustafa instead. Okay, interesting. Okay, so 60 stock of fertilizers for each state to boost food production when it comes to the agri sector. That is also a good thing. And they keep saying food insecurity. I don't think there's any food insecurity anyway, because Nigeria has a whole lot of land mass that should be enhanced to produce farm, what's it called now, for livestock, for farming and all of that, if the right things are being addressed. And why did I say that? We have always been aware of what has been happening in the food producing state of the country. Benue is the major place that a lot of farmers have been living away from their farmland, right? Because of insecurity.
Basket of the nation.
Exactly. So it's not a matter of food shortage or insecurity food. No, not that. It's actually a matter of insecurity in the state that needs to be addressed. If those issues are addressed, the farmers will have the mind to go back to their farm and they will produce exactly in the way they ought to.
Also, when you talk about giving farmers fertilizer, you ask yourself, how have farmers been thriving in the past? Don't they know ways to get their fertilizers? Of course, we know that the government really gives them some form of aid and all of that, helping them to purchase all of those things. But like you said, it's just like putting the bandage on a wound that has not been treated. It's a superficial approach to what is really going on in the country. But then you would say that it's good. But if you give a farmer, or if you give a state or governor trucks,
60 trucks of
fertilizers, and the farmers is going to get those fertilizers across to, they are unable to use it, go to their farm. What is the essence? We see cases where government would buy some things like seeds and all of that they want to give to farmers, and months later those things are still there in the ministries, in the local government, unable to be assessed, cannot be assessed by farmers, because some of them will say, oh, you are doing this now, how do I implement it? Or there are other things that we've not been able to address, and this is not the right step, to move the right direction. So you're asking yourself, fertilizer, food insecurity, is that the best approach to it? Is that the best approach to it? But everything counts at this point. Whatever to make the country better, or to further boost the nation's economy when it comes to food production and all of that. But you have said it rightly, it's not a matter of food insecurity, it's a matter of insecurity in the land that has affected food production, causing that food shortage and insecurity. If those things are addressed, farmers will return to their farm. They know ways to grow their crops. They know how to make their crop production thrive. Even when they have not been given support by the government, they have been doing it time immemorial. They have been thriving time immemorial. But the major issue affecting them right now is the fact that the farmers cannot access their farmland. And even when they are able to produce some crops, getting them to the end users is also a barrier. The roads are bad. The roads are bad. They cannot get their produce to middlemen, not to talk of those who are going to consume it at the end of the day. And then at the end of the day, you're having food spoilage. And you're talking about food shortage. All these things are the issues. I think that if the rep or the red chamber really wants to address the issue, they should talk in the right direction. It's not about giving fertilizer. This fertilizer are going to end up staying at the ministries, at the local government level, and probably not being used. So what is the essence? Exactly. Question.
So we have a situation where, yes, fertilizers are good. It's a good idea, but the main cause of the issue should be addressed at this level. At this point in time, the phone lines will be opened. We expect you to call us to the suspension of the Samoa deal with the House of Reps, asking the government to suspend the implementation of the Samoa deal. And then we brought you the story about the creation of a new ministry, that is Ministry of Livestock Development. And then the final one we just talked about now is the Red Chamber giving out 60 trucks of fertilizers to governors of each state. So what are your thoughts concerning the stories that we brought to you this morning? You know, all of these things is still interwoven one with the other stories, because the very first story talks about Nigeria seeking, should I say, financial assistance
and towards food and all of that,
security
and economic inclusivity. The word
economic inclusivity. All right. And then the second story about Ministry of Livestock.
Yeah.
Like I said before, concerning that Ministry of Livestock, I just think it's like a doubling effort. Because we already have the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock and Agriculture. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm waiting for people to, call in. Fine, it might be able to address some issues, so to say. But I just feel it's like these are the kinds of what's it called now, doubling effort and then increasing government spending. Because the moment you create this Ministry of Livestock now,
they will need some form of
funding, and all of that will come to play. All of those, the committees being created, even though the chairman of the committee is the president himself, to be assisted by the former chairman of the INEC.
I kind of skipped the point there.
Okay.
Talking about the chairman,
yes,
that's
the vice chairman,
yes, and
as the president be the chairman.
How does the former economic former
INEC chairman and professor,
of course, the professor, but how I don't know. I don't want to use the words that are coming to me right now. How will it really,
be able to address the issues based on the knowledge that needs to be applied?
One thing I'm tired of is seeing people who are high up there who have no connection to situations really that are affecting the country. Being put at the end of affairs, saying you are going to share this, you are going to head this, and at the end of the day, all they do is suggestions, talk here, suggestions, and at the end of the day, nothing is really done, no impact, really, as to what they have been asked to do. And if you look at the two front burner stories, they are really, like you said, three. There's this particular two that has to do with very much talking about livestock, farming, production. Yeah, it shows that even the Senate, they are aware. I like the fact that they are aware of the fact that there is a crisis. Yes, there is a crisis in the land. You would think, yes, you would think that before now, that tone there, because everybody that's talking about food crisis, Nigerians are finding the price of food has skyrocketed. Nothing seems to be going down. It's just like everything seems to be going up. Nothing wants to come down. Even when you feel like the situation should have been a bit better, it just seems like food, when it comes to food, nothing seems to be coming down. But I like the fact that the Red Chamber, finally, I get to look at it, even though they've not really said or given to my own opinion the solution that we really want. But the fact that they are deliberating on it, and I feel that at the end of the day, this is how we want it. The conversations have started already. If they are not really paying lip service, of course, they can just be like, oh, Nigerians are complaining too much. Maybe we should, make them feel like, oh, we are doing something. So, no, that shouldn't be the case here. If really they're not paying lip service to it, to what they are trying to solve, the solution they're trying to bring to the country, I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to have a reprieve, we'll be able to have some sort of, solution, to the issues that are currently going on, especially when it comes to food. That is a major issue in Nigeria right now. Food prices, the economy, the cost of living, the low income, and the low purchasing power of the country, are the issues that are currently being divided in the country, and that is what the Red Chamber should really be looking at.
Exactly. Beyond giving fertilizer a proper way to address this issue. We know exactly what the issues are. Bringing food from the farm to the market. Yes. That's the major one that needs to be addressed as quickly as possible, because they have the issue of transportation that needs to be addressed. Transportation has also affected the price of goods, the price of our produce. That is why it's increasing every day. And we know where that came from. The removal of fuel subsidy that made the transportation go up. Then the issue of security. Security in the land, in the state. You're talking about Benue State, where most farmers have not been able to abandon their farmland. Some of them are still at their IDP card because their area, the locality is not secure. We've had stories and news reports coming from that area talking about the fact that when they go back to the farm, they are being threatened. In fact, I told them not to come back to the farm. Oh, and of course, we have communities that people pay these herders and bandits. Yeah, pay them monthly or is it weekly? Like a form of deal, just so you don't attack us. Yeah, it's that. Can all of these things be looked into beyond giving of fertilizers? Yeah, it's good. You give fertilizer, but at the end of the day, if they are able to use the fertilizers on the farm, what are we now looking at? What are they now producing? So fine, they are looking at it's obvious they are looking at the issue, like you said, but fertilizers might not be the main solution right now. Fertilizer may come later. What should come now is to address the issue of insecurity in the land, and then means of transportation and storage. Because where you have situations where transportation is still like being delayed, not being brought to where it's supposed to, what is the storage system like? Because we have situations where they are produced and left in the warehouse or wherever it is stored, and the storage, then they get spoiled and all of that. And then we are all aware that some parts, like especially in the north, this tomato that we are saying is very expensive here. It's exports where they from. It gets rotting and all of that. So these are the things that should be addressed. Ministry of Agriculture needs to rise up, and then the new Ministry of Livestock, they need to work hand in hand with the Ministry of Agriculture, effort, work hand in hand to address the issue of food in Nigeria. This food insecurity, so-called, and so-called food shortage, it's man-made, of course. It is not from the side, it's not from outside of here. These are issues that is looking at us right in the face and that can be addressed. So it should be addressed. We are expecting your calls. We still have a few more minutes here to go. We are expecting you to call us, and let's get your opinion concerning all of these stories that we are brought to you this morning. I also wanted us to look at the Samoa agreement on one side. Now, talking about this agreement, okay, all right. I was just being told that our guest is actually here with us. All right, but as we wrap up this discussion, we Nigerians or the Nigerian government need to be more, how will I put it now, more attentive in use this sign. Exactly. Take it cognizance. Because like the reps rightly said, there are many that are like Trojan horses that are being packaged in such a way that, it's all good, but you not see the loopholes here and there. And then the question that begs to be answered is, leaders, the people at the ends of our affairs, we know that they are smart, we know that they are, they are well widely read and well exposed. They shouldn't be like, just because of what they want to, what's called, and just look away from some of the major things that make Nigeria Nigeria. Yes. Like now, we are now, people being brought to the fore, we're seeing a situation where something that is actually against the law of our land being put into this Samoa deal. It's not that it was brought to the fore, maybe we would have expected something that a lot of us would not be regretting in errors. And this is one of many. This is one of many. I dare to say that, or I dare to say that there are other agreements that the government has probably signed in the past recently, or in the recent time, that it's not yet to the public.
said, but might be detrimental or could be detrimental to the country. And this should be like a pointer for them to go back and look at some of this agreement. Look at how it has affected the nation adversely. Because the policies and what we are seeing right now is also a result of policies that have been implemented by the government because of the deal that they've entered into and trying to salvage situations and all of that. So like, it's tough for them to look inward, look at the agreement you're signing, and do better. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. Sure. And that is at this point that I will leave my thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much for staying tuned to ALN 24/7. That's so much you can take on the front burner this morning. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll be going to our discussion for the day. Public health education as it relates to the control and spread of cholera. Because the cholera case in Nigeria is really a big attention, and we should bring you some education on how to prevent and control cholera. And that's what will come in right after this statement.
ALN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
Nigeria is set to take its place.
The unions of aviation workers are out here protesting.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust. ALN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
ALN 24/7 lights up your day with unbeatable shows that guarantees absolute access to stories that revolves around politics, entertainment, and sports. Breaking news, plus detailed reports and analysis. At ALN 24/7, where the story goes, we go.
Thank you so much for staying tuned to ALN 24/7. This is This Morning Show. And right about now, we're going to our discussion for the day. It is the Wednesday morning edition. And like we usually do on Wednesdays, we talk about health and lifestyle. And today we are focusing basically on health and the issue of cholera. Cholera has been in the news for some time now. And our topic is a role of public health education in prevention and control of cholera. Now, public health education is a crucial component in the preventing and controlling of cholera outbreaks. By empowering communities with knowledge and skills, the risk of transmission can be reduced. That is why on today's edition of the show, we will be discussing the role of public health education in the prevention and control of cholera. And joining us now remotely on the show is Dr. Segun Jenyo, a medical practitioner and a public health enthusiast. Thank you so much, Dr. Segun, for joining us this morning. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
You're welcome. All right, so let's go right into it. So now, what are the most critical public health messages that should be communicated to prevent and control cholera outbreaks? Because we already know what is happening in the space in Nigeria right now, and Lagos being like the epicenter for the cholera outbreaks, as the figures are increasing like on a daily basis. So what should people really know? And is there enough really being done, you know, in sensitizing the public about the prevention and control of cholera?
Thank you very much for that question. And it's a pleasure to be here on this program again to educate the populace about the recent cholera outbreak. Well, I think your question is in twofold, and I would start by tackling the first one by just quickly rattling the most critical public messages that should be communicated to prevent cholera outbreak. Cholera outbreak is with us already. You know, I think that this message should have come, this engagement or discussion actually should have come earlier. You know, but as it is with us in Nigeria, we are usually reactive, not proactive. So briefly, one of the major public health messages that should be communicated to prevent cholera outbreak is that we need to encourage people to use hygienic practices. And by doing this, we need to emphasize the importance of frequent hand washing with soap and clean water. And when we talk about hand washing in Nigeria, we are not only talking about washing your hands just with water. You know, there's this erroneous mindset that our people have that once you just wash your hand under running water, then your hands are clean. No, we are talking about washing your hands with and water before eating, while cooking, and after using the toilet. We need to promote also the use of hand sanitizer in a situation where we do not have soap and water. And also we need to also encourage proper sanitation and disposal of human waste to prevent contamination of water sources. Actually, I was just reading that the statistics on open defecation in Nigeria, about 50 million Nigerians still engage in open defecation. If we say our population is 200 million thereabout, that means that 1 in 4 Nigerians still engage in open defecation, and this is a cause for concern. So secondly, I also think that we should also tell the populace that they should make sure that whatever water they are drinking is safe. This is because people, we are in an environment where people tend to, you know, provide their own water. A lot of communities don't even have access to safe drinking water. They have to depend on, even in Nigeria, as of today, still, some communities still depend on stream waters, you know, for drinking water and all of that. So we need to engage the community to know that, however they are going to, you know, sterilize this water, something should be done to decontaminate this water before they are ingested. Also, proper food handling and preparation is also key. It's also a key public health message that should be emphasized. We need to highlight the significance of only properly cooked food and avoiding raw or uncooked seafood, fruits, or vegetables. Also, we need to promote the use of safe water for food preparation. You know, because of the water scarcity that we have in our environment, a lot of people tend to even recycle water. You find people using the same water they used to wash. They keep some households, even in Lagos here, they keep the water and they use it to even flush. You know, so there are so many unhygienic practices that we still do. Also, when people buy vegetables, they buy fruits, they need to also wash these things thoroughly and avoid street food, because many a times when people just purchase street foods, they just buy fruits, buy vegetables just from the roadside sellers. A lot of people don't take the pain to wash this food. You see, even during traffic, people just buy fruits and then they start taking those foods. I think that people need to be more intentional about these hygienic practices. Also, people need to also be educated about the early recognition of symptoms of cholera. You know, we are talking about diarrhea, profuse diarrhea, we are talking about vomiting, we're talking about dehydration. So when you notice these symptoms, and when you also notice that some people also in the environment or in the vicinity are also having these similar symptoms, people should try to access medical help. Then also oral rehydration therapy. These are things that people can even do before they get to the hospital. So we also need to strengthen our surveillance systems. People need to also be do regular evaluation to make sure that some of these parameters in the community are being checked, so that our surveillance system, we don't wait until we have breakouts or outbreaks before we take this measure. So I think that addresses the first part of your question. Then the second part, you asked about whether if we are doing enough to tackle or to tackle this menace. I think that I think we have done so far. I think we have done relatively. Our approach has been fair enough. I would say that because I see a lot of jingles, even in my church. There was also a program that was organized to sensitize people about cholera. And I remember during that program, someone was telling me that someone who resides in Lagos, like you said, which is the epicenter, was telling me that she did not even know that there was cholera outbreak. So you can imagine. So that means that we still need to do more in terms of educating people, in terms of sensitizing the populace as regards this cholera outbreak. And that is why I'm very, very excited that you are bringing this up. And I am so happy that LN24 is doing well in this regard to educate the populace.
24/7.
Okay, 24/7 rather.
Yes.
Thank you so much for all that you shared. You mentioned the fact that awareness needs to what's the word to use now? To
increase the awareness programs.
Yes. So how can we make sure, from your own point of view, how can we make sure, that everyone, is aware of what is going on, that education is suitable for a variety of cultural contexts? There are a lot of persons that would look at cholera, from a standpoint of, it's just for some certain people, as long as it's not coming, it's not close to me, and then they are just like reckless or careless and all of that. So how can we make sure that everyone, across all strata are aware and doing the right thing as it regards prevention and control of cholera?
All right, thank you very much. To ensure that public health education is suitable for a variety of cultural content, the following strategies can be employed. Before I go ahead, it will interest you to know that even in Lagos here, the first cases of cholera that were detected on the island. A lot of people have this mentality that the people who are staying on the island, they are more, they are more enlightened, they are more, they have access to more resources, and then they are not expected to have this kind of issues. But then you can see that it started from that. So it actually transcends just having access to resources or being rich, so to speak. So I think one thing we need to be aware of is the cultural sensitivity of this of the message that we are trying to pass across. We need to take into account the cultural beliefs, traditions, and practices when designing and delivering public health education and programs. This can be done by conducting or consulting local community members to understand the cultural norms and values that may influence health behaviors. This is important because if we don't know the cultural practices or the cultural beliefs in an environment that influences behavior, it may be difficult to actually pass across some of these messages, because a lot of people will tell you that they've been doing this for ages and this is how they do things. So if you need to change that narrative, you need to be aware of where they are coming from, what actually influences some of these practices. Also, I think we also have some of these messages to fit into the local context. We have to tailor these educational materials and messages to specific cultural content. This can be done by translating materials into local languages, for instance, and using culturally appropriate examples and metaphors to enhance understanding. Because when you continue to speak English, in Nigeria here we have diverse ethnic groups. We have different languages, Even some people who speak English would still prefer some messages to be passed across to them, in their local dialect. So I also think that we can also do this, adapt some of these messages to suit our local needs. Also, I think we need to collaborate with local stakeholders like community leaders, engage healthcare providers and other local organizations in delivering public health programs. We need to seek their input to ensure content and delivery methods align with cultural norms and preferences. Also, I also think that we need to also engage in massive community involvement. We need to engage early on and throughout, and also engage community, our community leaders and community members as a whole. This we can do by making sure that we evaluate some of the public health programs, that to be sure that even the messages we are trying to deliver to the populace, are they being impactful, and are our people actually getting some of these messages. Another key thing that is important is also to use trusted messengers. In every community, in every vicinity, we have people that the general populace actually trust. Talking about traditional leaders, people who are influencers. Nowadays people talk about social media influencers. In the same vein, we also have local influencers who can help, to carry these messages to the people. These are people that people actually have a lot of respect for. I think we can even, by extension, even extend it to also the social media influencers. A lot of people follow these influencers, and you see, even when they cough, people like their tweets. They just cough.
Exactly. I was going to come to that. When you talked about languages, people, liking to, having to get information in their own local language. I wanted to latch on that with the social media, which you have already mentioned. Do you think the social media space is being used enough, to talk about the awareness, the prevention of cholera and all of that, and control? Now, you just mentioned social media. We've not really seen much activity on social media as it comes when talking about this cholera outbreak and the passing on of information. Because you just mentioned now, social media influencers, yes, influencers, they are there. Are they really, being taken advantage of to tell people how to control cholera and prevent it?
No, thank you very much. I think social media is a powerful tool, for promoting awareness and prevention of cholera. However, in my opinion, I don't think we have done so much. I don't have really taken opportunity of this platform to educate people. A lot of people may not even watch their televisions. A lot of people don't even have access. Maybe they don't even have electricity, but then most people, even when people wake up in the morning, a lot of people, the first thing they do is to check their mobile phones, they check their WhatsApp and all of that. Although I have seen a lot of messages on WhatsApp, people forwarding messages, trying to create about cholera and all that, but I think that we are not doing enough in this regard. I remember an issue that recently with one of the popularizers, whereby he was caught for spraying, at a particular event, and one of the verdict that the court, one of the pronouncement by the judge, he would be made to promote messages that prevent or that discourage people from spraying naira. He will be made to do that from time to time. I think that's something that we need to. Yes, I think that is something that we need to also harness in that regard. It just speaks about how we prioritize health. We need to do more in this regard. So that is a very powerful tool. When elections are coming up, you see jingles everywhere. You see, or when all the social media platforms, you see a lot of messages. But I think that when it comes to health, we're a bit laid back because we probably, it's probably not on the front burner, So I think that with increasing popularity and ability to social media platforms, it provides a convenient and cost-effective means, a very wide audience, including individuals in both rural and urban areas. The social, even the providers, the giants in the country, they can be made to send messages. Even all those, Airtel and the likes, they can be made to send messages. So people, even if it's just to create that awareness. By the time something keeps popping up in your space, most people would get this information. Because social media can be used for information dissemination. They can be used effectively share information about. We can talk about the symptoms. We can talk about even preventions and available treatments, regular updates, and will help raise and educate the on cholera prevention. Also, real-time updates. Social media allows for quick dissemination of real-time updates and cholera outbreaks, vaccination campaigns, and other relevant information. So I think that engage social media and then possibly even communities on social media, health community or communities on social media that will help, to also disseminate information, form support groups, and so on and so forth. So social media can also be used for more feedback. It can be as a tool for monitoring and analyzing and feedback. So I think that we need to do more in this regard as regards cholera prevention. If we actually make use of this opportunity, we'll be able to reach a wide audience, and then we would be able to inform about this menace of and other health issues may be our society.
Let me ask you this now: how best can individuals and also stakeholders, the public in general, how can we leverage community-based initiatives and grassroots movements to promote cholera and cholera prevention and control? Talking about we have existing means or ways by which diseases and other outbreaks have been able to be controlled or prevented. But how best can the prevention of cholera be integrated into them? Because this seems like this is not the first time that we've had cholera outbreak in Nigeria, but it seems like as every time when it starts, it looks like a fresh outbreak that everyone is trying to curtail, to tackle. So how best can this thing be integrated into our systems that are already existing and also sustained in such a way that it doesn't just take us by surprise again when there's an outbreak? People start trying to control or prevent themselves from being a victim.
Thank you very much. I think that community-based initiatives and grassroots movements play a crucial role in promoting cholera prevention and control, because they are rooted in the local context and a deep understanding of the community's needs and needs. So, first of all, I think that community participation and ownership is very, very important. We need to involve community members in the planning, implementation, and evaluation of cholera prevention initiatives. We can do this by empowering them to take ownership of activities, by supporting leadership and also decision-making roles. Members need to play participatory roles, in making sure that they get information about prevention. Secondly, I also think that we should also harness local knowledge and practices. Like you said, existing initiatives, there are existing knowledge that people have as regards cholera or other health challenges that we have. I think we need to tap into this local knowledge, and then on this knowledge, we need to tap into the local practices that people have, and then also build on this. We shouldn't disregard what we have on ground, because sometimes it is difficult for people to actually just change overnight. So I think that the existing initiatives, we should we should rather try to integrate them, in national and cultural practices that we align with cholera prevention. Just like we see that in prevention or in reduction of maternal mortality in the health society, trying to integrate these traditional birth attendants to train them, because you realize that even in the rural areas, they are the ones with the people. So you find that a lot of people still patronize instead of just adding their practices. How we can make them improve on their practices, and then maybe make relevant when they get stuck. Okay, so I think that is also very important. Make sure that we integrate the existing traditional practices and not necessarily just disregarding them. Also, thirdly, I think that we need to also improve in terms of training and capacity building. We need to make sure that we constantly provide training and capacity building initiatives to community members, including local health workers, volunteers, and also community leaders. This can include education on cholera prevention and control, hygienic practices, safe water management, proper sanitation, and waste management. When we equip people with this knowledge and skills, it enables them to become active agents of change within their communities. So I think that is also very, very important. Then also, what is also important, I was talking about integration the other time. We should also try to integrate, let there be integration with local institutions and organizations. We need to collaborate with schools. These are existing institutions. We need to collaborate with schools, religious organizations, like I just mentioned in the meeting that I was in, where in a very large congregation, the message of cholera prevention and control was passed across. If we do this, we find some of these organizations or some of these gatherings where a lot of people are, and they respect those religious leaders, they respect those traditional leaders. So when such leaders pass across this information, it helps to take it down to the grassroots and help to reinforce the culture of good hygienic practices, safe water, safe drinking water, and then hand washing, and so on and so forth. I also think that we can also leverage on existing networks. We can identify, existing community networks, such as, in so many of our communities, we have women's group. People form organizations. You have the farmers cooperatives. You have a lot of organizations. We have so many meetings that we do. When we leverage on such existing networks, it helps to further disseminate these messages. Not necessarily establishing a new organization. No, but what about those youth organizations, women organizations? We can leverage on these things and help to disseminate this information. Some of these organizations have meetings from time to time. As need arises, we can make use of these opportunities to disseminate this information. I think if we do all this, it will go a long way, to educate the populace, and then to help stem the tide of our health challenges. Not even only cholera, but it will go a long way to help to combat some of these health challenges that we face in Nigeria.
Indeed. Okay, we have a final question.
Yeah, yes. I haven't done all when you are trying to control, prevent, and all of that. You have to also evaluate how effective what you are trying to do.
Yes.
So what are the ways by which the effectiveness of public health education programs for cholera prevention and control is evaluated? What best way can?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that this is very important, because when you are carrying out any public health initiative, you need to regularly evaluate your programs to ensure that you are making impact. I think one of the ways that this can be done is to carry out a pre and post test knowledge. You need to conduct knowledge surveys before and after a health program is instituted. This needs to be done to help to determine if the education you are even trying to pass or the knowledge you are even trying to pass across has successfully improved the knowledge levels among the target populace. So if you educate people, you give them some knowledge concerning a particular health challenge, concerning concerning cholera in this case. You need to find out that you need to do a post evaluation survey. Do they even have understanding? Have you effectively passed that message across to them? Then another key way of knowing if your health programs is actually being effective is also to assess the behavioral change. You need to evaluate changes in behavior related to cholera prevention and cultural practices. This can be done through observational studies, through self-reporting, through structured interviews, and assessment of individuals, to make sure that they have even adopted the recommended behavioral changes that you have preached, so to speak, like to check if they are now using, they are now carrying out those hygienic practices, if their environment is now if they are in terms of sanitation, are they now adopting good sanitation practices, are they now treating their water, and so on and so forth. So we need to carry out these behavioral changes from time to time. Also the health impact changes, we need to assess if at all, because if you keep educating somebody about a particular medical situation and you see that the condition keeps increasing, then it just says that your programs are not making the desired impact. So we need to measure the impact of education program on the incidence and prevalence of we need to compare these rates before our programs and then also compare the rates after our programs, just to know if our programs are actually making the necessary impact. Also, it is also important to also measure the level of utilization of health services. For instance, now we have cholera outbreak. Are we having more people accessing healthcare? Are people coming to the hospital to access healthcare? So if we have increased number of people coming to the hospital to access healthcare, it also further shows that a lot of people are now aware of the situation, and then they are trying to get help. So this can be determined by knowing the number of people that are actually accessing care. So this will help us to know even if our messages are actually getting to the grassroots. Then also partner and stakeholders feedback. Like I said now, that you engage local influencers, engage community leaders, engage organizations. So feedbacks from these people will also help us to know if our messages are actually being passed across. So I think that if we combine all these qualitative and quantitative methods to holistically evaluate the effectiveness of public health programs for cholera prevention and control, it will give us an idea of where we are in terms of public health education and programs. This will help us to identify, areas where we need to improve, areas where we need to also do more, areas where we need to concentrate on, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Dr. Genyo. Now, in wrapping up this discussion, I would like you to talk to the people. Our viewers are watching, most Lagosians are watching, and there's some other key places around Nigeria that has been experiencing this cholera outbreak. And then to the government as well, what do you think the people need to do to really curb, this spread and then reduce the numbers as quickly and as, possible, as fast as possible? Then what do you think the government needs to do more? They are doing something, and report says that the figures are dropping, but not so fast enough. So in wrapping up, what do you think the government and the general public needs to do to drop the figures for this cholera outbreak, and then prevention as in for future? Apart from everything that you have said now, we don't want it. It seems like when the rainy seasons are approaching, every year there is a cholera outbreak. What can be done, as in, what's it called now? Practical steps that can be taken to put this back-to-back cholera outbreaks coming up again. Wrapping up now.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this question is very, very key because a lot of people still feel that cholera or health challenges are meant for some set of people. No, because what affects Mr. A can actually affect Mr. B. I think, let me start from the government. I was happy recently when I saw on the news that Lagos State is trying to bring back regular environmental sanitation. I think then it used to be maybe first a particular weekend or a particular Saturday was stipulated for it. I think that is a very good step in the right direction. It shows that the government is also waking up to its responsibilities because you know, you need to enforce some of these things. Some of the we know in Nigeria we have so many laws just written there, but we need to take practical steps. And one of the ways by which we can do this is actually to make people, you know, to do this. You know, their environment. Not only saying that they should stay at home, no. They should also make sure that people go around, you know, to check the activity, because most people will just take that as an opportunity to rest at home and not do nothing. You know, because somebody said if you sweep your house, or you sweep your compound, you know, and I sweep my own compound, by the time we put these efforts together, it will help for us to create a very clean environment. So I think this is a good step in the right direction. Earmarking a particular time, earmarking a particular day to make sure that people clean their environment and so on and so forth. Secondly, I also think that the government should also do more in terms of, you know, providing safe drinking water. You know, a lot of communities in Nigeria also, you know, depend on streams and all of that. Even people in the city, you know, people talk about Lekki a lot. They talk about the kind of water they have in Lekki. And I remember somebody was telling me that he can't even cook with the water he has in Lekki. He has to buy sachet water and all of that. Even the sachet water that we are buying, we don't even know. Are there regulatory bodies who constantly go to check if these are being prepared under hygienic situation? So the government they have a lot to do to make sure that they are being proactive. You know, it's sad that we are always reactive in Nigeria. I think we need to be more proactive these things and make sure that people do the right things. So the government should also try to provide safe drinking water, you know, to the populace. They need to also, you know, open defecation is a major problem in Nigeria. People, I think people should be sanctioned. You know, like I said, about 50 million Nigerians still engage in open defecation, according to a recent statistics, and even open dumping. You know, people just dump things indiscriminately and so on and so forth. I think people should be made, you know, to face the law when they do this, because they don't only problems for themselves, but they cause problems for the majority of the populace. So the government needs to do this to make sure that they check some of these activities and make sure that things are done as they are supposed to be done. Then concerning individuals, I think individuals need to take ownership. The general populace, they need to take ownership. People need to realize that even though they do things in the small corner of their homes, you know, it can actually have a ripple effect on the general population. You know, preparing food. For instance, let me give you an instance. There was a recent challenge that we had. There was a program that was organized, and then the bus that was used to convey food to that particular program, that same bus was used to convey goods to another location. So it was after the goods were conveyed to that location that they now came back to actually, you know, transport the food items to that event. And we realized that a lot of people, came down with diarrhea disease, started having diarrhea, started having vomiting. Somebody somewhere just felt like it wasn't really a big deal. I could also use the same car to convey this, and then look at the ripple effect it had. Hundreds started having diarrhea, started having vomiting, and so on and so on. So we need to also look at these activities, from our own corner. We need to also try as much as possible to make our environment clean. We need to make sure that we don't engage in practices that affect our environment, like maybe dumping refuse in the gutter. Recently too, I saw on the internet that governments, they were going to go after somebody who, because of the flooding, they were trying to make use of that opportunity and then brought out their refuse and then poured into the drainage and all of that. These are activities that we need to also look into as individuals. I think that a lot of people don't pay attention to these things. We need to be intentional about these things. And again, like I said, personal hygiene is also very important. We need to be careful when we buy our stuff. Things are not even, let me say, things are getting easy now in Nigeria. People can't even afford to buy, for instance, tomatoes. Somebody was telling me that they can't buy the main ones. So those ones that people used to maybe throw away, they used to trash. Now people now go to buy such, and they try to make manipulations and all of that. So I think that our people need to be, they need to make sure that they do this. And then, like I said, not only just washing your hands with water, you need to make sure that you wash your hands with soap and water. This is very, very important. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Wow, so much you said, and thank you very much, Dr. Jenyo. Dr. Segun Jenyo is a public health enthusiast and a medical doctor with the Lovewood Medical Center, and he's been, intimating us, educating us, and, giving us information on what we need to do to curb the spread of cholera, to control cholera, and to prevent it. Because year in, year out, we keep on having these issues, and it needs to really stop. What really caught my attention, what you just said now about the transportation of goats in the same vehicle, and then the vehicle was now later used to, transport food to a particular event, and everybody that ate that food now came down with diarrhea. That is things that we need to do on our own. We don't need government to do such for us. You just need to be, cognizant of the fact that you need to be health conscious, and be health conscious for yourself first, and then the people around you. Once again, thank you, Dr. Segun Jenyo. We really appreciate you being on the morning show today. And I'm sure our viewers are ready. Thank you. Thank you. Really, a lot is said there, and you really wonder the way. I think we Nigerians, or should I just say Lagosians, I've never really lived in any other part of Nigeria, need to be more conscious when it comes to health, waste disposal, and some other things like that. It talked about open defecation. There is a report that we'll be playing very soon that has to do with the issue of open defecation, waste management, as it brings about these cholera outbreaks, because it has to do with our hygiene. Yes, because it's hygiene that brings about things like this. If we live, in an hygienic way, I don't think we should be seeing issues like this in our environment.
And when you mentioned talking about a city like Lagos or a state like Lagos, Lagos already it's overpopulated by standard, by all means. And when you have people, a state where there is overpopulation already, of course that this will bring some form of health concerns, and issues. And when such thing as a cholera outbreak, find its way into that particular state, you can tell that it has a devastating effort. But like you said, the responsibility lies on individuals, and I noticed that the doctor also said that it's not just about the government and stakeholders. What are individuals doing on their own to ensure that, cholera prevention and cholera control, is of the utmost priority. I think that many people just pay lip service to this whole cholera thing. They feel like you said, when it's raining season, some people are even seeing it as a yearly sickness, because they got healed, or they found solution to it, and they're like, oh, it happened again this year, and they're like, oh, it's a rainy season sickness. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's as a result of the dirty environment.
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
The other day, someone was talking about how a particular building was locked up because when during the rains, you know, the neighbors or the residents, they brought out their
refuse and dumped it in the flood.
And dumped in the flood. And I'm
what
wondering,
kind of mindset
do they understand how this debt are coming back to them? It's
it's really ridiculous when you think about things like this.
Apart from the fact that it's going to clog your drainage,
yes,
and all of that, you've forgotten that you are still going to, you know, fetch water from that same area. A lot of things,
and it doesn't even make any logical sense. Where is the the flood? Where is it taking the refuge?
Exactly. Do you think if you leave your house, then come to
go and stay? You know, it's taking it to the river or which river? No, we need to be very smart in the way we do things. And then the way we use our systems. When you cook, you need to become. In my house, they know you can't come in and go straight to the kitchen.
You have to wash your hands.
You have to wash your hands. If possible, have your bath before you enter the kitchen. Because these are all the things, you know, that leads to all of these
Talking
issues.
About open defecation before, when you mentioned open defecation, I think that again, I don't know if to say particularly Lagosians, I think that a large number of the populace are just dirty for no reasons. You know. You go to a place where, for instance, you go to a banking premises, and just around that bank premises, you can smell the pungent smell of urine. You can see someone has defecated there, and sometimes people around there, the people who reside around that place, they know themselves. They are the ones that are there. You know, and you allow such things to happen. And you are living there. You've forgotten that you are breathing that air that you know that is coming from the pungent smell of urine and defecation.
That is a.
And you still buy food. You still eat around that area.
You know, and that is something that is not good for your health. You know, it's really sad. We need to do better when it comes to hygiene. You're talking about cholera outbreak. It's not a government thing. It's an individual thing.
Yeah, something came to my mind when the doctor was speaking. And he talked about you know, how people hospitals and all of that. I'm wondering that sometimes when these people go to the hospital and they are diagnosed of cholera. I don't know, is there a way where they are sensitized after they've gotten treatment?
Yes, or even during treatment.
For instance, you come, I'm sorry, I'm a nurse, and you come to my healthcare center for treatment of cholera. I will treat you, right? You know, in the process of treating you, I will treat. But after the treatment, there are some words I will tell you. When you go back home, you will think of your life twice. You will know that you cannot come back to my hospital again for the second time to come back to cholera. Because cholera is not something that you, for instance,
and that is a case of cholera that was not so severe and did not become fatal.
Exactly.
Because it was early detected and all of that.
Or you're a mother and you 4 of your children, 5 of your children, you know, have cholera. What are you doing?
No,
what is your lifestyle and your life choices? Because cholera is not something that maybe you don't have control over. It's not like let's say, for instance, COVID-19 that everybody was talking about,
or malaria. You know, any other kind of
illness. It's a result of choices and your surroundings and your environment.
Health choices.
And so you have the power. You have the power over it. You can actually decide not to make, you know, cholera something that will come near you. Even as we're talking about cholera, there are people that they've never had, you know, a case of cholera before. There are areas where you don't have case of cholera and all of that.
Careful what you eat. The doctor said it. Dr. Jayo just said it now. What you eat, be careful. You know, when you go to buy food, cooked food, you know, from vendors. Be careful. Look at the environment.
That alone is another issue.
The major issue. Yes, you might be thinking that things are, you know, economically not so balanced now, but you need to be smart and be sound, because sometimes that little money that you think you have that will not be enough to make meal by yourself would actually go a long way. If you enter the market and you cook your meals by yourself and you cook it properly.
Then again, the proliferation of liquid substances, sales of liquids, drinks and all of that. Yes. You know, you're talking about, okay, you don't want to take
all those.
You are shifting from, for instance, you're shifting from carbonated drinks, and now you're saying you want to drink tiger nuts, Zobo drinks, and all of that. And you are not even aware of the water that is being used to make it.
Or the environment that is being made.
And you just consume it.
Please, let's be careful and be mindful. Let's bring you the state, what's it called, a report on the situation of cholera presently in Nigeria, Lagos in particular. We said Lagos State's report says the latest data stated that as of week 25, Lagos State registered 104 new cases out of the country's total 113 reported cases for the week. So can you see, Lagos is topping the chart. 104 out of 113. Now, Ogun State reported 7 new cases, while Katsina had 1 case. In the last month, Lagos State alone reported 533 suspected cholera cases, contributing significantly to the country's total of 556 cases. So Lagos, we need to really up our game. We can't be, cholera shouldn't be a thing in Lagos, not at this point in time. We call ourselves a mega city. So what are we doing about our health and our hygiene? We need to, rise up to the challenge. Now, the that's the, what's it called, the National Center for Disease Control. The agency said other states with reported cases include Ogun 19, Rivers 9, Katsina 8, Oyo 2, Abia 2, Bayelsa 2, and Sokoto 1. Now, the NCDC said that efforts to diagnose and control the outbreak include 217 rapid diagnosis tests, of which 17 were positive, and 232 stool culture tests with 28 positive results. It said that the National Multi-Sectoral Cholera Technical Working Group continues to oversee and coordinate response efforts across the affected states. The agency for the states that as of June 23, 2024, Nigeria has reported a total of 1,579 cases. The report for the states that the age groups most affected were children under age 5 years old, followed by those between age 5 and 14. So we have children under age 5, which are most likely, then from age 5 to 14, with an equal distribution between male and females, notably. That is here and there, but we have children more affected. Now, the NCDC said that there has been a 37% decrease in suspected cholera cases. That's a good one, compared to the same period in 2023. Because we said that, in 2023, there was a situation of cholera outbreak. But this year, there is a decrease of 23%. Meaning that there is a drop. An awareness. Yes, there's an awareness that people have, increased in their knowledge. So we need them to do better. We need them to do more. Okay, so compared to the same period in 2023, so with a 21% reduction in cumulative deaths in 2024. So this is a good one, but we can do better because the figures are still very high, especially in Lagos. Especially in Lagos, so we need to do better.
I know one particular aspect of this report talking about how children are mostly affected. These are toddlers, these are babies that mostly do not have control over what they put in their mouth. What they put in their mouth. At least you as an adult, you can see something and say, okay, this doesn't smell right or look right, but they are still, children. Children, and the onus lies on their guidance, their parents,
to keep the environment
clean, because they are the first. Should I use the word? People who are prone, to cholera outbreak. Of course, you see mostly toddlers. There was some people or some places in the rural areas. You hear mothers say their child is teething and they are like, oh, this child has diarrhea, is stooling, is vomiting, is a result of the fact that the child is beginning to grow teeth. I remember when I was working with that NGO then, it took every time we would go to the community center, health centers, we always take the time to actually sensitize these women, because most of them are even clueless. They feel like it's a normal thing. Your child is stooling, your child is vomiting, and you're like, oh, the child is bringing out teeth. I'm like, how does that correlate? So these are the awareness, and especially the rural areas, the grassroots. They need to know and be aware of how to better, manage their environment in such a way that cholera you know, it's far from their children.
Exactly.
Because those are, I really feel, sometimes I feel sorry for the children when
when
they are vomiting
because
and they are stooling.
They can't even say the way they are
powerless.
feeling.
You know, they're powerless. So
the onus lies on us, the
exactly.
parents, to keep the environment clean. Okay. All right, so we need to wrap this up now. We mentioned that we have a report that has to do with cholera outbreak and how it relates to open defecation and waste management. These are what causes cholera outbreak. So let's quickly see that report, and then we'll be back. It will be the top of the hour to look at the stories making the rounds in the news. Just stay tuned.
Defecation is the practice of disposing human waste in open areas rather than in a toilet. This practice poses significant challenges to public health, dignity, and the environment. This practice, prevalent in many developing regions, increases the spread of diseases such as cholera, typhoid, dysentery, hepatitis, and respiratory infections, which impact millions of lives each year. According to statistics, over 673 million people worldwide still practice open defecation, and 91% of them live in rural areas where there is lack or limited access to good toilets, poor behavior, or non-utilization of available facilities. There is also an estimated figure of about 775 deaths per year attributable to poor sanitation. Open defecation contributes to disease transmission by spreading pathogens from human feces into water, soil, and food, leading to outbreaks of infectious diseases. Additionally, it contaminates water bodies, polluting drinking water and harming aquatic ecosystems, which further affects human and animal health. Open defecation and cholera. One of the infectious diseases caused by open defecation is cholera. Cholera is a severe diarrheal illness caused by the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. It spreads through the ingestion of contaminated water or food. The bacterium produces a toxin which triggers severe diarrhea and dehydration, and without prompt treatment, cholera can be fatal within hours. Symptoms include watery diarrhea, vomiting, and leg cramps, leading to rapid loss of body fluids and electrolytes. In regions where open defecation is common, cholera can spread rapidly, leading to large-scale outbreaks. It is estimated that there are 1.3 to 4 million cases of cholera each year, with up to 143,000 deaths. Lagos, Nigeria's commercial city, is currently under the siege of a cholera outbreak that is sweeping through communities. According to the Lagos State Government official website, Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, revealed that 350 suspected cases of cholera were reported in 29 wards across multiple local government areas in Lagos State, with 17 confirmed cases and 15 fatalities so far. Here are some preventive measures and solutions to the problem of open defecation. Waste management. Waste management involves the collection, transportation, treatment, and disposal of waste to minimize its impact on health and the environment. Effective waste management can significantly reduce open defecation by ensuring the proper disposal of human waste through the construction and maintenance of sanitation facilities like toilets and latrines. Proper waste management infrastructure helps prevent environmental contamination and reduces the spread of diseases linked to open defecation. Clean water access. Ensuring clean and safe drinking water by protecting water sources, providing filtration and purification systems, and building reliable water supply infrastructure. Hygiene education. Educating communities on hygiene practices such as hand washing with soap to reduce disease spread, with schools and community centers playing key roles. Open defecation remains a critical public health challenge with far-reaching impacts on health, the environment, and socioeconomic development. By investing in waste management, ensuring access to clean water, promoting hygiene education, and fostering collaborative efforts, we can mitigate the risks associated with open defecation and move towards a healthier, more dignified future for all.
Stay up to date with LN 24/7. LN 24/7. With news, politics, business, sports, and more on LN 24/7. Where the story goes, we go.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now it's time to look at the stories in the news. The Nigerian Senate has urged the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, take measures to fight the current food crisis in Nigeria. The upper chamber also urged the executive to outline measures to combat the situation and address the people on steps taken. These resolutions were reached after a debate on a motion sponsored by Senator Sunday Karimi, representing Kogi West, co-sponsored by Senate Chief Whip Ali Ndume. Presenting the motion, Senator Karimi noted that the price of goods and household consumables have been on an abysmal rise in the country. This, he said, has led to a high rate of inflation, weakened buying power, and general worsening of living conditions of the vast majority of Nigerians.
Effort made by the current federal executive to arrest the consistent increase in food inflation have not yielded the desired result. There is need to be more pragmatic about addressing food insecurity, curbing other farmer crises, kidnapping for ransom and terrorism, and ensure the development of a viable national commodity board to regulate the prices of grains and ensure the elimination of artificial contribution to food and commodity inflation in Nigeria.
A bag of rice is selling at about 100,000. A bag of maize, the same thing. Even prices of tomatoes, onions, and other basic food is high. Distinguished colleagues, as representatives of the people, we need to do something, or at least say something. That's why I co-sponsored this motion, and I believe all of us here are concerned because we are talking to one another. Let's do something. The prayers of the motion is quite clear. If there need,
in his contribution, Senator Ahmed Lawan stressed the need for Senate leadership to engage the executive immediately to ensure food flowed in Nigeria. Worried about the situation, the federal government on Monday announced suspension of taxes on imported food items, a move Senator Ahmed Lawan believes should be thoroughly examined. The other effort by the federal government is the provision of fertilizers to farmers across the country, something some senators said is yet to reach them and their constituents.
The fertilizer distribution had to be delayed, but I have at every point in time briefed the Senate President on the current status of what has been happening. We had hitches from the NSA's office. They stopped every truck of fertilizer from moving out because of the security implication. They had to certify clear before they will allow the trucks to move out. And as of today, I just showed the Senate President, the trucks are being loaded. They will be moved to the various states. So I want us to exercise patience again.
In a remark by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, he expressed concern over the high rise of food insecurity in the country, adding that the federal government must find a solution to it. The Senate
saying that the situation is an emergency. We must help our people, and part of it is also to make sure it's not just providing food today, it's being able to plant to make sure that latest October, November, we have excess food in the market, because Nigerians must feed. Everybody is concerned. The primary role of government is to ensure the welfare and security of the citizens. And that is the reason why we are here. We must take emergency steps. The government is doing its best by ensuring that any food item that enters the country, zero levy, in order to make sure that people have food. And then, of course, the distribution of these fertilizers across is to enhance production, at least within this period, because after this, they will be useless. So let us make sure that these things are there between now and next week, so that we can distribute to our constituents. And we shouldn't keep them. As soon as they come, distribute them. Let the farmers make use of them.
The Senate subsequently compressed all prayers into one, urging the federal government to swiftly address the food crisis in the country. The rising cost of living, especially food inflation in the country, caught the attention of the National Assembly by calling on the federal government to do everything within its power to urgently address the situation.
Still talking about food, President Bola Tinubu has announced the establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development. The news emerged as the President inaugurated the Renewed Hope Livestock Reform Implementation Committee at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, which was aimed at resolving persistent farmers-herders conflict. While President Tinubu would chair the committee, a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Atahiru Jega, is the deputy chairman. Tinubu said the federal government fully prepared to cover the cost of acquiring the land to ensure the coexistence between herders and farmers. The President said the committee would work with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to come up with lasting solutions to the age-long crisis between farmers and herders, while ensuring the security and economic well-being of all Nigerians. Let's take a listen. The committee, chaired by the All Progressives Congress APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, gave the President 21 recommendations, including creating a Ministry of Livestock Resources.
Why should Nigeria continue conflicts of the caliber of people that is here? This presents a unique opportunity also to delineate and establish a separate ministry called the Ministry of Livestock Development. We develop the economy, give people opportunity to excel. Our vet doctors can give us the necessary protection and opportunity to rear on, breed, crossbreeding, and stop the wanton killing, even animal feeds. It's a huge economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby inaugurate the Renewed Hope Livestock Reform Implementation Committee in Nigeria. It is now in your hands. We're ready to work for the success of this program and the first success of the entire nation. So we will leave a Nigerian flag without stain to our children. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, President, we shall advise on implementation strategies going by the well-established framework articulated in the reports and the blueprint before us. We shall be conscious of the documented experiences of other countries that have done very well in the livestock sector.
The Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, SANU, and their Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, Federal University of Technology, MENA, have joined their counterparts across the country to protest what they termed injustice in the payment of their withheld salaries by the federal government. The protesting unions also advise the government to avoid a total breakdown of university education across the country. The government must hasten action in the implementation of their demands. As early as 8 a.m., protesting members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria University and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities had gathered at the entrance of the Federal University of Technology, MENA, to demand the release of their withheld salaries. The action for some hours on the major roads in the university caused some hold-ups, disrupting vehicular movement, and thereafter they were at the Senate building where they blocked the entrance too. The aggrieved workers had several inscriptions on their placards as they marched around the university campus, calling on the federal government to release their withheld salaries and implement their other outstanding demands.
We are on a protest trying to sensitize the public on the insensitivity of the government to our plight. You will recall that we have been demanding for our withheld salary, that the president of the country gave us a passionate approval that they should pay us the 4-month withheld salary. Up till now, since December, nothing was done to it. And not only that, the president, that is the federal government, promises to give us 50 billion in allowances. Up till now, we've not gotten anything about that. We are looking at it that the education is the bedrock of any nation's building. They are not trying to achieve that. So all this, we are looking at it as if they are trying to deceive us. We are hungry. All of us are hungry. We are dying in silence, and we cannot afford doing that. And that is why we come outside today to agitate for our rights.
We workers, we are not the ones that will formulate policies. They will formulate policies that will impact on Nigerian workers. The suffering is too much. We could not afford food. We could not afford medical care. We could not afford house rent. We couldn't afford school fees for our children. We are calling on government to reduce expenses on governance so that they will be able to serve Nigeria well. Nothing is working in Nigeria.
In another development, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, says there is an ongoing plan to distribute about 60 fertilizer trucks to each state through the governors before the weekend. 7 senators will also receive 2 trucks of fertilizers each. In contrast, members of the House of Representatives will receive 1 each from the distribution to address the impending food insecurity in the country. Akpabio disclosed this during the plenary on Tuesday. It was commenting on a motion sponsored by Sunday Karimi from Kogi West on urgently addressing the country's impending food insecurity. And I quote him here saying, all states of the Federation are being provided with 60 trucks of fertilizer outside what is being given to the senators. End of quote. After disclosing the plan, the Senate President said he got the information from the chairman of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, that is Saliu Mustafa. He urged media to quote Mustafa instead.
National stories now. Hundreds of newly elected lawmakers trooped excitedly into the parliament on Tuesday after the UK's transformative election brought a Labour government to power. The halls of the Labyrinthine building echoed with excited chatter of 650 members of the House of Commons, 335 of them arriving for the first time. That compares to 140 new lawmakers after the last election in 2019. The seat of British democracy took on a back-to-school feel from the rows of lockers temporarily installed in wood-paneled corridors to the staff holding "Ask Me" signs ready to help bewildered newcomers. The new House of Commons includes the largest number of women ever elected. That's 263, some 40% of the total, and the most lawmakers of color at 90. Opposite them will be a shrunken contingent of 121 conservatives, a vastly increased number of liberal Democrats, 72 strong, and a mastering of representatives from other parties, including the Environmentalist, Green Party, and the Anti-Immigration Reform UK. And that's about the stories that we have for you at this point in time. For more updates, you can log on to our website, www.ln247.news, and you can follow us on all our social media platforms, including King's Chat. The Morning Show continues right after this.
Stay up to date with LN 24/7. LN 24/7. With news, politics, business, sports, and more on LN 24/7. Where the story goes, we go.
LN 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
Nigeria is set to take its place.
The unions of aviation workers are out here protesting.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust. LN 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
LN 24/7 lights up your day with unbeatable shows that guarantees absolute access to stories that revolves around politics, entertainment, and sports. Breaking news, plus detailed reports and analysis. At LN 24/7, where the story goes, we go.
Catch the thrills, and all passion of world's biggest sports fiesta. From July the 26th to August 11th, 2024 on LN 24/7 Network. Olympic 2024 game live on LN 24/7. Watch all the action as Nigerian stars shine to glory. For ad placements and sponsorship, call these numbers: 081-367-99969, 070-542-81181, and 0802-332-2032. France 2024 Olympics. Games wide open. Faster. Higher. Stronger. LN 24/7, where the news goes, we go.
Thank you very much for staying tuned to LN24/7. This is still This Morning Show here this Wednesday morning, the 10th day of July. We've been talking about, the prevention and control of cholera, the role of public health education in the prevention and control of cholera. And some of those cards that you saw are, ways that we can take advantage of, some cultures, some things that we can imbibe on our own to really prevent, and control cholera. And of course, we are still talking health and lifestyle, and in something that happened over the weekend, talking about new innovations in health. I was at an event organized by the Lovewood Medical Center, and they brought about this new thing. Well, they said it's not so novel, but I think in this climate it's something that it's really, happening for the first time. A symposium organized by the Lovewood Medical Center as it has to do with nuclear medicine. And, it came, to like forestall.
Sounds like nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Now you're talking about using nuclear. It's still the same technology, but in this case, for medical purposes. Now, it is actually, I think this particular innovation by the Lovewood Medical Center is to address the issue of medical tourism. Okay. So that is where we are bringing this, the angle we are coming from for this particular report. So in the face of increased medical tourism and inadequate health services in Nigeria, there is a glimpse of hope as Lovewood Medical Center launches nuclear medicine in addition to its already numerous array of medical services. The launch took place at a symposium organized by the medical outfit, and yours truly was there, and we bring you this report. And of course, we will be leaving you with that report as we sign out on the morning show this morning. We brought you a lot, and of course that report is coming in to give you more information about nuclear medicine. And of course the morning show will continue with
Imalabia on developing stories.
On developing stories.
Yes. It's been a wonderful morning, SB. Always a wonderful morning, sharing the better part of the morning with our viewers. And like you said, a lot of information, has been reeled out today, talking about cholera, the guests that we had, and also all that we had on the front burner as well, all gearing towards the betterment of Nigerians. And we are hoping and praying, that every effort of individuals, stakeholders, and even government, yield the right results. And it's on that note that I'll be saying that have a pleasant morning.
Exactly. And I remain Olasubo Koromi to come your way next week.
Bye.
Stay healthy. Bye. Medical Center, a state-of-the-art multi-specialist hospital located in the heart of Ikeja, Lagos, Southwest Nigeria, held a first-of-its-kind symposium on radionuclide therapy and oncology, which was themed Evolving Role of Nuclear Medicine, Personalized and Precision Medicine.
In the medical sector is a fruit of the healing ministry of the man of God, because of his compassion for the sick and the vision that God gave to him. Even though we're having amazing and impactful healing meetings, the Lord directed him to set up a hospital so that, well, not a hospital, to go into healthcare. We'll continue to expand our capabilities. The Lord has given us the grace to do it, to do the best, to be the best, and we will exploit that grace for the benefit of all those around us. We are life-givers, we are saviors, and we are bringing the compassion of Christ into healthcare for our society.
Radionuclide therapy, also known as molecular radiotherapy, is a relatively new cancer treatment that uses small amounts of radioactive materials to kill cancer cells or slow their growth. With these in view, the symposium was targeted to bring to the forefront the advancement of nuclear medicine. The head of Department of Radionuclide Therapy at the Lovewood Medical Center, Dr. Marsha Maraj, spoke on how radionuclide therapy is a better option in the diagnosis and treatment of cancer.
Chemotherapy is a blanket that covers both normal and abnormal cells. It doesn't matter where those normal and abnormal cells are. So, yes, it attacks them all equally. So the patient suffers from their normal cell loss, and that results in a lot of the complications and side effects that they end up trying to be treated for instead of just the cancer. Nuclear medicine, it is directly targeting the cancer cell itself, either on the cell membrane, and we're talking about cells here, so we're not talking about just a mass. That cell, that's the basis of that mass, is being addressed. It doesn't matter where that cell is. If that cell is circulating in the bloodstream, that cell is being addressed only. It's precision medicine. And that is exactly what reduces side effects and improves life.
One of the major highlights of the event was a guided tour of the facility, which was moderated by the Chief Operating Officer of Lovewood Medical Center, Dr. Anthony Osagle. Dr. Anthony said the health innovation will curb the spate of medical tourism, as Lovewood Medical Center has the state-of-the-art medical equipment to cater to every aspect of medicine.
Medical workers don't come cheap too. Good medical workers. And with the unfortunate Japa syndrome, a lot of good hands have left the country. The cost of flight tickets out of the country now. Now, whatever it is that you are going to get outside this country, you can get it here. So maybe your flight tickets could just handle all your costs. But if you go outside the country, you pay your flight tickets, you pay for accommodation, you are still going to pay for the treatment itself, which of course will be multiples of even your flight ticket and the accommodation that are going out there for.
According to recent data from CBN's balance of payment compilation, spanning the first 6 months of 2023, Nigerians spent over $245 million on overseas health-related issues. With a multi-specialist hospital like the Lovewood Medical Center, it certainly shows that the days of foreign exchange laws and capital flight from medical tourism are numbered. Olasumbo Kurumi, reporting for LN24/7, Lagos, Nigeria.
LN24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we'll continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
in the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
Nigeria is set to take its place.
The unions of aviation workers are out here protesting.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust. LN24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
LN24/7 lights up your day with unbeatable shows that guarantees absolute access to stories that revolves around politics, entertainment, and sports. Breaking news, plus detailed reports and analysis. At LN24/7, where the story goes, we go.
Catch the thrills, and all passion of world's biggest sports fiesta. From July the 26th to August 11th, 2024 on LN24/7 Network. Olympic 2024 game live on LN24/7. Watch all the action as Nigerian stars shine the glory. For advert placements and sponsorship, call these numbers: 081-367-99969, 070-542-81181, and 0802-332-2032. 2024 Olympics. Games wide open. Faster. Higher. Stronger. LN 24/7, where the news goes, we go.
Maintaining a youthful and vibrant demeanor isn't just about appearance. It's also about how we feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. While some aging is inevitable, there are habits we can adopt to feel more energetic, joyful, and vibrant at any age. Equally important are the habits we need to let go of to reclaim that youthful vitality. Here are 7 habits to kick for a more youthful and vibrant life. Avoid a sedentary lifestyle. One of the biggest culprits in accelerating the aging process is a sedentary lifestyle. The exact definition of a sedentary lifestyle is when someone spends 6 or more hours per day sitting or lying down, and they lack significant physical movement in their daily life. Sitting for prolonged periods can lead to muscle stiffness, reduced flexibility, and decreased energy levels. You can combat this by incorporating regular physical activity into your routine. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week, whether it's walking, swimming, dancing, or yoga. Movement not only keeps your body strong and agile, but also boosts mood-enhancing endorphins, leaving you feeling more youthful and vibrant. Improve your diet choices. The saying, "you are what you eat," couldn't be more accurate when it comes to aging. Loading up on processed foods, sugary snacks, and excessive alcohol can accelerate aging by contributing to inflammation, weight gain, and sluggishness. Instead, focus on consuming a diet rich in whole foods like fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. These nutrient-dense foods provide essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that support cellular health and combat oxidative stress, helping you look and feel more youthful inside and out. Don't forget to stay hydrated. Failing to maintain proper hydration is a habit that can sap energy levels, dull the complexion, and contribute to premature aging. Drinking an adequate amount of water each day is essential for supporting overall health and promoting a youthful, vibrant appearance. Sleep properly. In today's fast-paced world, sleep is often sacrificed in favor of productivity or entertainment. However, skipping sleep not only leaves you feeling tired and irritable, but also accelerates the aging process. During sleep, the body repairs and rejuvenates itself, supporting cognitive function, immune health, and overall well-being. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night by establishing a relaxing bedtime routine, avoiding screens before bed, and creating a comfortable sleep environment. Avoid stress and negativity. Chronic stress and negative thinking can take a toll on both your physical and mental health, leading to premature aging and diminished vitality. Engage in stress-reducing activities and cultivate a positive mindset by practicing gratitude, surrounding yourself with supportive people, and reframing negative thoughts into opportunities for growth. By minimizing stress and negativity, you can enhance your resilience, optimism, and overall youthful glow. Establish a skincare routine. Neglecting a consistent skincare routine is a habit that can lead to a dull, tired-looking complexion and accelerates the aging process. Establishing a daily skincare regimen tailored to your skin type and concerns is essential for maintaining a youthful, radiant complexion. Protect your skin by wearing sunscreen daily and using skincare products containing antioxidants and moisturizers to combat the damaging effects of UV radiation. Feeling youthful and vibrant is within reach for anyone willing to adopt healthy habits and let go of detrimental ones. By prioritizing physical activity, nourishing your body with wholesome foods, getting adequate sleep, managing stress, protecting your skin, stimulating your mind, and nurturing your emotional well-being, you can reclaim the vitality and zest for life that defines youthfulness at any age. Start today by making small changes that will have a big impact on your overall well-being and outlook on life. Cheers!
Ellen 24/7 is first of all a news station.
Well, we continue with updates from the just concluded governorship
In the southeast has raised questions if INEC will be able to conduct elections.
With a core team of over 40 correspondents spread across Nigeria.
Nigeria is set to take its place.
The unions of aviation workers are out here protesting.
And affiliates in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. We give you news as it breaks from the perspective you can trust. Ellen 24/7 News, where the story goes, we go.
Ellen 24/7 lights up your day with unbeatable shows that guarantees absolute access to stories that revolves around politics, entertainment, and sports. Breaking news, plus detailed reports and analysis. At Ellen 24/7, where the story goes, we go.
Catch the thrills, and all passion of world's biggest sports fiesta. From July the 26th to August the 11th, 2024 on LN 24/7 Network. Olympic 2024 game live on LN 24/7. Watch all the action as Nigerian stars shine to glory. For advert placement and sponsorship, call these numbers 081-367-99969, 070-542-81181, and 0802-332-2032. France 2024 Olympics. Games wide open. Faster. Higher. Stronger. LN 24/7, where the news goes, we go.
Beautiful day to discuss developing stories on this morning show on LN 24/7, and it's been a jolly ride with Cleopatra Okoye and Olasunbo Okoromi taking you through this morning with health and lifestyle, discussing health and lifestyle. But right now I've got Cleopatra remaining with me.
Yeah,
beautiful Cleopatra.
Always retaining me and arresting
because you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Anyways, don't mind me. Anyways, I'm sure you've been having a beautiful time on this morning. But let's take it a notch higher with discussing developing story. Now, the FCT Police Command has sent Shuaibu Alhaji Yushau to the Social Development Secretariat for mental assessment and evaluation following his rather troubling action of attempting to commit suicide in a protest against subsidy removal and insecurity by climbing a high broadband mast at Aso Radio in Katampe, Abuja, which caused his apprehension on Monday, July 8, 2024. According to the spokesperson of the command, SP Josephine Ade, the suspect, if found to be mentally stable after the test, will be charged to court for attempted suicide, disturbance of public peace, and incitement, contrary to sections 231, 111, and 114 of the Penal Code Act. She mentioned that the Commissioner of Police, FCT, CP Bennett C. Igwe, has urged residents to be law-abiding while pushing for their voices to be heard, as the police will not be stampeded into allowing the breakdown of law and order.
You know, we talked about this on Developing Stories yesterday. This man protested by climbing a mast, and another one happened in Abuja where a sole protester, I think we even saw a picture in the video, Anka Noku, the Nigerian actor, joining that particular protest in Abuja, carrying the Nigerian flag. I think it's called Flag Boy on social media, carrying the Nigerian flag, protesting. And that's a video of him in police custody. You know, he was arrested after he protested. Anger, same anger that many Nigerians are crying out about, but fact remains that he was arrested after protesting. And right now the police is saying they have arrested this man who climbed the Shuaibu, who climbed the mast in Abuja, and you know, taking him into custody. If found that he is sane, he will be prosecuted, and he's actually liable to have 1 year of prison sentence.
First and foremost, Emmanuel, anyone who would go as high as that mast cannot be sane. It takes a lot of unstable. But it takes a lot of courage also. That I'm saying, courage. You know, sometimes you have to be abnormal in order to do some courageous things. You know, you and I know that you would not, or I would not take that risk and climb that kind of mast, no matter what, you know, you may be going through. All you will do is you'll just pray to God and just wait the situation out. But for someone to do that, you know, the person has reached the lowest of the low, you know, and has seen it up to the level that such person, you know, has given off or given up on, you know, on life and all of that. Talking about the other man too that jumped into the Oshun River, just on the weekend as well, you know. People like that, you cannot say they are stable, no matter how you want to look at it. Even if scientifically they are proven to be stable, but mentally, you know, and otherwise, spiritually, you can't say they are stable. And like I said, it takes a lot of instability of the mind to actually do that. Then this particular development, talking about if found guilty, is going to be penalized. You know, further cause of concern of our law that criminalizes suicide. You know, I don't know if that is right, or I don't think that is right. I know suicide is not the right way to go, you know, in situations, but I would want to think that a society that really cares for a citizen, and one of such, wants to take their life, not because of maybe personal challenges or such things, but because of the economic hardship, which we all know that everybody is facing, or everyone is facing, or a majority of Nigerians are actually facing and is telling in every strata of society. If such cases are found, I don't know why we want to also criminalize that and punish the person. My first question is, okay, yes, if found guilty and is taken into he has to do time for 1 year and he comes out, what is the hope for such person? And first of all, have we solved the problems? Have we solved the challenges that he mentioned? He was protesting about. He protested about the removal of fuel subsidy. He protested about the hunger. In fact, the insecurity in the north. Would we be able to solve all of that if this man comes out of prison? Where is the hope given to such a person to know that, okay, yes, you are telling him that suicide is not the way to go, it is wrong and all of that. What is your basis of this admonition or telling him not to do these things? Because you take him into custody, he does time for 1 year, he comes out, he's back to the society, no food, no money, back to square one, and at this time maybe we will not look for a better way to actually commit the suicide, that, you know, it will not you know, when we get in his way and all of that stuff. So I think the government should do better than some certain things. I am very concerned about the clampdown, the threat of clampdown that is you know, put out there about on people that are trying to protest or that are planning protests. The other day we heard about the EFCC. This guy wasn't even carrying maybe a weapon or something that you say, okay, he was going to harm someone else in the way of him protesting and all of that. He was just frustrated. He was just frustrated. And a right-thinking, you know, society that wants the best, you know, or that's really concerned, that not just paying lip service to the betterment of the citizens, would do better than saying that if found guilty, you know, he will have to do time. But Nigeria's government also, you know, wants Nigerians to live and not you know, it's like saying that no one leaves, even if no matter the situation, you stay here. We are here together. There's no room for you to. After all, the president has constantly promised or constantly admonished Nigerians to go through the pain, go through the challenge. It's just a short time. Pay the price. Pay the price. Yeah.
Nigerians, are you ready to pay the price? Do not leave. Nobody's going anywhere, like Cleopatra said. Let's move on. Now, former cabinet members in the administration of Nasser El-Rufai, the ex-governor of Kaduna, have reacted to the probe of their principal by the State House of Assembly. In a statement on Tuesday, 8 former commissioners under the El-Rufai administration described the probe as an attempt to inflict maximum reputational damage on certain selected members of the Kaduna State Executive Council, class of 2015 to 2023. On March 30th, Uba Sani, the incumbent governor of Kaduna, said his administration inherited a debt of $587 million and 85 billion naira and 115 contractual liabilities from the El-Rufai administration. He said the huge debts burden is eating deep into the state's share of the monthly federation allocations. Subsequently, the State's Assembly set up a committee to probe the finances of Kaduna under the former administration. On June 5th, the Kaduna Assembly recommended the probe of El-Rufai over the allegation of public funds diversion and money laundering. The Assembly made recommendation after a report by the ad hoc committee. However, the former cabinet members said the committee's report oozes malice and patent unfairness toward the administration of the former governor. Now, these were commissioners under the El-Rufai government saying that, you know, it is malice, it is probably an attempt of even blackmail or an attempt to damage the reputation of the former governor by demanding accountability. That is what the former governor is saying. There's been a lot of opinions about this.
This is a case of loyalist against investigation, or loyalist against, like you said, accountability. You know, and of course, this is the state of the nation. This is what we have, the order of the day in Nigeria, where when you call out a particular administration or someone who has served in office, those who are loyal to him or he himself will come out to say it is witch hunting, victimization, mud smearing, name smearing, all of that stuff, just to, you know, divert the issue or the topic or the discussion from the major reason. So the question here is, why were you called out in the first place? You were said to have siphoned money, corruption allegations and all of that. I would think that if you really want to clear your name, you should have receipts. You should have evidence to say, okay, the people who brought out those allegations, they actually brought out figures. They said you siphoned this amount of money, XYZ amount of money, you did this and did that. What is your counter argument to this? It's not about saying loyalists coming up, you know, to bring out statements and say, oh, their principal or their former boss is being witch hunted or targeted, you know, by those who want to smear his good name and office in the mud. No, you should have reasons. You should have, like I said, receipts. You should have things that you can point to and say, okay, let those who have brought out these allegations, let them come and, you know, refute this and this and this and so claim. But we are not having that, and this is what happens in the country that we are in right now. Everybody is just a free-for-all battle. You know, you go in here, it's like garbage in, garbage out. At the end of the day, this will just lead to like senseless and endless back and forth. We've seen that countless times with those that are formerly in office and those who are currently in office. The back and forth, you know, never ends, and at some point it just looks like a joke. The whole thing looks like a joke. So it's just one of such a
the back and forth never ends, and we do recall that Kogi State Governor was called out by the EFCC about how, you know, he siphoned funds, and he even paid tuition fees for his children ahead of time in school, and the school actually returned the funds. One thing about returning of funds in this country is that we never get to know where the funds go. Nobody ever gets to say anything about those funds. But also, this matter has been up, and up until now, there's been no arrest made, and we're still back and forth with court processes, and still talking about how to recover these funds, or if he is actually guilty of this particular crimes that the EFCC has accused him of. And here we have El-Rufai and his cabinet members in his government when he was the governor of Kaduna State, saying that, you know, this is a witch hunt, or this is an attempt to damage El-Rufai's reputation. I do say that with any available opportunity that we have to call out these people and demand accountability as a nation of how they served in public office. Nigerians need to take advantage of all of that opportunity. You need to call these people and say, okay, come and give an account. It's like you give somebody a job, and after he retires or after he's done with his job, and you ask, you demand for, you know, him to come and give accountable. Maybe because it's the governor, it's the present governor of the state that is actually doing this. But he represents the people, right? He represents
the people. And I dare say that even if sometimes this calling out might be some sort of witch hunting or whatever people want to label it as, it is still accountability regardless. It's still a call for accountability. You were in office. You should be probed. Especially if there were inconsistencies in your administrations, and during your tenure, you will be probed. You shouldn't take it as witch hunting. You should come out and clear your name if you really did the right thing and you have nothing to hide or nothing, you know, to be guilty of. You should come out and instead of saying someone is smearing your name in the mud, someone is witch hunting you, just do the right thing.
I mean, sometimes you don't even need to wait for people to, ask you to be accountable. Sometimes you should even take the initiative.
And you know, the reason why,
you retire from office,
the reason why things like this thrive in Nigeria, where someone has finished serving and you have this calling out and all of that, is because transparency is a no-no. Transparency has reached its all-time low in Nigeria. No strata of the government, I dare say, can truly say that they are transparent in their dealings. It's always, you know, this issue, one issue or another. Everything is shrouded in secrecy, and then at the end of the day, someone says, "Oh, you've done this or you've done that," or there are inconsistencies during your administration.
There's a back and forth denial and allegations and all of that. But in a country where we have subsidy being paid, or there's an allegation that subsidy is being paid and the government is actually denying that the subsidy is not being paid, and we're still back and forth with that issue, what do we expect?
What do we expect?
That's how far we can come on developing stories. And this morning show, thank you very much, Cleopatra.
Thank you for having me, Manuel.
Until we come your way again next time on This Morning Show and Developing Stories. Do have a lovely day.